Hello, my name is Andriani Loizidu, and I'm the editor-in-chief for iMagazine. I have with me Katie King, who is a published author, keynote speaker, trainer, and consultant on artificial intelligence, marketing, and business transformation. Her second book, which we will talk about today, is AI Strategy for Sales and Marketing, Connecting Marketing, Sales, and Customer Experience. Hello, Katie, welcome.
Thank you very, very much. It's lovely to be here.
So, Katie, the first question is basically tell us a bit about your background, so to get to know you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm 55, I'm from London, and I have been in the marketing space for over 30 years. And I've spent most of my career helping organizations all over the world to raise their profile, to get an exit, to list on a stock exchange. Typically, it's been about their marketing and their profile. I was a director of a PR agency in London for many years, which was global and listed on the stock exchange. But I've been doing that, but everyone caught up. So the advantage and the lead I had in digital for quite a few years, and I did TEDx talks, everyone caught up. And I decided I needed my books, I needed some new intellectual property to stay ahead. So I'm sure we'll come on to the books and so on in a moment. I'm also on the all-party parliamentary group looking at how enterprises adopt AI. So I wear different hats and I run my own marketing agency day to day called Zudicas. So that helps with the practical knowledge of marketing and how you use it to stay ahead. So that's I'm a mom of 2 daughters. That's a little bit about me.
Nice. I have 2 sons.
Have you?
Yeah. So how did the idea of the AI strategy for sales and marketing book came?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I've written 2 books. The first one came out in 2019 and it's still very current. For the reasons I mentioned a few minutes ago, as a marketeer, I needed to do my own marketing. And I could see I've always been innovative and I've always been interested in technology. And so both books are my USP, my unique selling proposition. They're my way of staying ahead. So the second book, when I wrote the first book, people were still quite skeptical. But with the second book, which was only published in January of this year, people are much more ready to implement AI and to consider how it's going to shape their marketing. So that's why I did it, because AI will revolutionize how we do marketing, sales, and CX. And I wanted to be one of the forerunners in that space.
How will artificial intelligence and machine learning adapt to future marketing strategies?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would break that down into 2 areas. So one of them is time saving. I talk a lot about the 3 Ds: dirty, dull, and dangerous. And the dull is not always dull, but it's the monotony. It's the tasks that can be automated. So there's quite a lot, not all, there's some great strategic work that us marketing professionals do, but we do spend time listening, monitoring, researching, drafting, and now the AI tools like Concurred, Phrasee, Jasper, there's loads of them. They can do that for us, that if we use them properly, they can free us up to be strategic, to look at analytics, to look at how we add value to our customers. So that's the one. And then I think the other major impact is the type of experience that we can offer our customers, B2B and B2C. And that means being, without using too many big words, but when we kind of do marketing, sometimes we're very what we call homogenous, which means we treat it as one big mass. Whereas AI gives us insights that enable us to be very granular, very detailed. So a good example might be TGI Fridays, the brand, saying, Katie, give us your consent and we will give you a very personalized service. So through their marketing and in a restaurant, they no longer just say, me, female, 40 to 55, they can say, Katie comes into our restaurant on a Wednesday evening, she orders ribs her partner's vegan, etc., etc. So that's what I mean by that ability to make sense of the data and to, to be able to be granular. It's almost like mass personalization. And that's a contradiction, because you almost imagine that AI means big scary robot making things very dehumanized, but actually it's the opposite.
Can you give us one or two examples of cases that the book will be helpful, actually? If somebody reads the book, how it will help them?
Yes, good question. There are so many case studies in the book, successes, failures in all different industry sectors, big, small, different countries. But I would pick two. So one is Kia Motors, the car manufacturer, and they use sentiment analysis, which is a part of artificial intelligence. And what they're doing is they're assessing how customers feel about that brand at any time, so that they can gauge, they can assess what their reactions might be to an announcement or to a plan. So they use these insights to form decisions about the company's products and services. And I think that's a really good idea. So they got feedback about their electric vehicles, from electric vehicle owners and non-electric vehicle owners, and shared that with the product development team, who could then feed that in to the life cycle. And then there's another one, which is not a very well-known one, which is smart signage. And I've got a whole section in my chapter 3 of this latest book. And there's a startup in Switzerland who've developed this using, I won't go into the detail of the technical side, but they use computer vision and machine learning, which are part of this family of artificial intelligence. And what they're doing is interpreting the demographics. So what's your age, what's your gender, what's your disposable income, and they're delivering real-time targeted adverts based on exactly what that customer is. So it's that, what I said a moment ago about being really detailed. We used to do finger in the air guesswork, with marketing and sales, and now it's really revolutionizing the types of tools that we use so that we can be much, much more specific.
In your opinion, what traditional marketing strategies will you see disappearing soon?
Interesting. So it's not necessarily about anything disappearing as such.
Changing, let's say.
No. I was going to say nothing will fundamentally disappear. I think what will happen is we'll take new forms and we'll evolve alongside technology. So just like with digital, still there are companies that resist digital and do things traditionally. We will not stop doing lots of digital things when we move on to AI. But I think we'll see, for example, like radio adverts still in use, but they might take on a new stream. They might take on a new streaming service. So I think, what I might see is, it's really, really difficult to say, but maybe something like direct mail, that might be something that really becomes something from the past. So I think, AI will enable us to do it differently and better, so that those very salesy e-shop type things, really may no longer be used. But I think the strategies, we need to decide. Strategies will change because a strategy is like a plan, isn't it? So the strategy will have to change because it will have to encompass a mix of human and machine tools. So overall, strategies will change, but there will still be tactics that we've done and used for many years that will still be very, very relevant. AI doesn't come in and sweep everything else away, which is reassuring for our jobs, isn't it? And so on.
Yes. It sounds like the old will be combined with the new, let's say, somehow.
Which is always the case, isn't it?
Exactly.
Think of this is like the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
Steam, electrification, the digital age. Now we're moving into maybe an age of AI and augmented reality and extended reality. And if we use them properly, then they should assist us. and help us to have better experiences. But I know there are some issues with that, ethics and so on, which we might touch upon.
How is the book helping sales, marketing, and customer experience?
Yeah. So I give examples in the book of operationally, AI is used to help lawyers, construction companies, banks. So operationally, they can use it. But in terms of job functions, like the job function of marketing, of sales, of CX, these tools can give people insights so that, for example, with sales, they might stop targeting a certain demographic because they've now got data that says this is the ideal potential customer. This is the headline to use to guarantee an open rate in your email. And the better sales and marketing that's more targeted means that you are giving customers what they need when they need it. And that's going to help with customer experience. So by improving things, you're helping CX, but also there are tools that help you if you're running a CX function. For example, a call center for an airline or for a bank. Again, 85% of that might be automated by training the bots with the best call center experience people. But then when you have very complex inquiries, that gets escalated up to a human being. So operationally, it can actually help with CX, but it can help the customer journey and help customers feel that they're getting a more personal service and that you know them. So long as it's not creepy, so long as it's ethical, so long as they've given consent. But, they're some of the ways. And in my first book, I've got an amazing scorecard for success. And in my second book, I've got a standardized framework. And both of those go into a lot of detail about how specifically you can get started if you're doing sales and marketing and CX.
When people first read your book, what comments did you receive from them?
Generally great, which is reassuring. So people talk about very deeply researched. It would be easy to just jump on the bandwagon and churn something out, but it's deeply researched. Both books took a year to write, and they are a collection of case studies of other people's amazing activity. But they also say that they're very easy for non-technical people. I have not written a book to teach people how to code in Python. I have written books that show you how you apply different AI tools to your marketing, sales, and CX. So people talk about how it's very easy to understand. And then finally, how applicable, how easy it is to apply these insights. And people seem to love the ability to sort of gamify the scorecard. So the scorecard has these 10 sections. You give yourself a score of 0 to 5, and then you know how to get started. And it's a bit of fun, but it's also very practical and very applicable. So they're the main comments that I've had from people.
And last question, can you read us a line or two of your favorite part of the book?
No one's ever asked me that. That's really nice. I like what you've asked there. Here we go. So AI is the defining technology of our time, and we have a choice. The power is in our hands, and the responsibility is a heavy one. What I like about that, it's in my book in chapter 9 that talks about this fork in the road, and it's about flourishing or self-destructing, and it's about responsible AI. So what I think really is that sort of sums up a lot of the things that we talk about in the book, which is about ethics, which is about the need to upskill, the need to evolve and take on board these new tools, but to do it in a way where people benefit, where we're doing it with consent. So in Europe, we have GDPR.
Yes.
And there is a clause within GDPR about explainable AI. So it's really important that we treat AI responsibly and ethically and that we have a choice. And I actually think now we're making a mistake if we ignore AI. When book one came out in 2019, people could afford to ignore it. Whereas I don't think people can afford to ignore it, but they need to do it responsibly, strategically, not waste time, not waste money. So that sort of trade-off and that weight that those couple of lines convey, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Katie, thank you very much for today. It was a pleasure, and I'm looking forward for your next book. I guess there is one
Oh,
coming.
maybe. I'd be very happy to, through your podcast and through your magazine, to offer your readers and listeners a 20% discount with a code specifically for you, if that is of interest to you. But no, amazing questions. Thank you very, very much for featuring me. And I'm very happy to connect with people on LinkedIn and Twitter if they would like to, and we can put the details of that at the bottom of the podcast if people are interested.
Okay, and now talking about the code, do you sell it on Amazon?
Yes,
Okay.
on Amazon and on many other websites as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. That's great to know. And of course, thank you for the offer. And yes, we will be in touch.
You're very welcome. Great podcast. Thank you so much for featuring me.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye for
Bye.
now. Thank you.